I'm Maya. They call me a cultural critic, which I think is a polite way of saying I have unapologetically strong opinions.
And I'm John. I'm a journalist, which is a polite way of saying I'm paid to be skeptical of everything.
And this is Primary Source, the show where we strip away the PR spin and the comfortable narratives to get at the raw, unfiltered truths behind the topics most people are too afraid to touch. We believe that the most interesting stories aren't the ones being told, but the ones being hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. And today we're going to find one of those stories in a place you might not expect, a professional football game.
Right. You might have seen the headlines about the New York Giants pulling off a massive upset against the Philadelphia Eagles. Most people see that and think, interesting sports result. We see it and think, this is a perfect case study in how entire systems of belief can collapse in a single night. This isn't just about football. It's about how so-called genius can be an illusion, how entrenched power is always more fragile than it appears, and the uncomfortable truth about the human cost of entertainment.
So today we're using one NFL game as a scalpel to dissect some much bigger and frankly more controversial ideas.
We've seen upsets before, but the Giants' recent 34-17 win over the Eagles wasn't just an upset, it was a complete demolition of the pregame narrative. The Giants, who had a dismal 2-20 record in night games since 2019 and were predicted to lose significantly, delivered what's been called an eyebrow-raising, lopsided victory. It completely shattered what we thought we knew about these teams.
Absolutely, Maya. And what's truly fascinating is that this seismic shift was largely orchestrated by two rookies, quarterback Jackson Dart and running back Cam Scatterbo. Dart, a first-round pick, made his primetime debut with a passing and rushing touchdown showing incredible poise. Scatterbo, on the other hand, was a battering ram with 3 rushing touchdowns and over 100 total yards. Their combined immediate impact in such a high-stakes game is genuinely noteworthy among the entire 2025 rookie class, suggesting not just potential but immediate game-changing ability.
You mentioned their immediate impact. What do you think allowed these rookies, Dart and Scatterbo, to perform at such a high level in a primetime game against a division rival, especially when the established narrative was so heavily against their team? What deeper qualities did they exhibit that transcended typical rookie struggles?
Well, I think it comes down to a few things. First, there's the poise you mentioned with Dart. The report noted his ability to make throws in rhythm and off script. That off script part is key. It means he wasn't rattled when the plan broke down. He could improvise for a rookie in his first primetime game. That's rare. Then you have Scatterbo, who was described as a physical presence. He wasn't just running. He was running through people, carrying defenders. That's not a skill. That's a mindset. It's a kind of fearlessness that I think veterans who are more aware of the long-term physical toll might subconsciously dial back. These two brought a raw, unpolished energy that the Eagles defense just wasn't prepared for.
That makes sense. It's like the Eagles prepared for a chess match and the Giants showed up for a bar fight. Looking beyond just this game, what does this kind of rookie performance mean for the franchise quarterback conversation in the NFL, especially within the NFC East? Does it suggest a more fluid definition of what makes a player franchise worthy, and how might this anarchy you mentioned reshape the division long term?
It completely throws a wrench in the works. The term franchise quarterback used to imply years of development, a slow grooming process. Now you have a guy like Dart who steps in and immediately contributes to a major win. It accelerates everything. USA Today's Nate Davis even speculated about a new heyday for the division where all 4 teams suddenly seem to have these potential franchise guys. This anarchy means the division is no longer a predictable 2-horse race. Every game becomes a high-stakes dogfight, which is great for fans, but a nightmare for analysts and coaches. It proves that a hierarchy can be dismantled almost overnight by new talent.
So, this game wasn't just about a single win. It was a powerful statement that raw talent and unexpected performances can dismantle even the most entrenched expectations, radically reshaping our understanding of team dynamics and divisional power. But while the Giants celebrated, the Eagles were left questioning their own strategies and supposed innovations.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us to the other side of the coin.
Switching gears to the Eagles, their stunning defeat put a harsh spotlight on their offensive strategies. Specifically, it raised questions about their much-touted Tush Push play. While they successfully used it for a touchdown, the overall offensive performance was widely criticized as lackluster and lacking explosiveness, particularly in the passing game and their struggling run game.
That's right, Maya. The tush push has been incredibly effective for them in short yardage situations, often converting crucial downs. But the fact that their offense as a whole looked so anemic, the run game was MIA for the fourth straight week, and Jalen Hurts threw a game-ending interception that broke a franchise record streak suggests a deeper issue. It makes you wonder if the tush push is less a genuine innovation and more a crutch masking systemic weaknesses that were brutally exposed in his game.
Interesting. But isn't the tush push still statistically one of the most effective plays in football? How can we say it's an illusion when it consistently converts? Is it possible the Eagles just had a bad game rather than this being a fundamental flaw in their offensive philosophy?
It's effective in a vacuum, yes, but over-reliance on any single tactic is a strategic dead end. Think about it. The more you use it, the more tape there is for opponents to study. The reports mention that defenses are already developing specific counters, focusing on gap integrity and disrupting the push at the point of attack. So while it works, its success rate is bound to decrease. And if the rest of your offense is sputtering, if your star running back, Saquon Barkley, is held to 58 yards and your passing game has no creativity or juice, as the report said, then what happens when that one magic play fails? You're left with nothing.
This concept of a brilliant singular play masking broader issues reminds me of something. Can you think of an analogy from another sport or even outside of sports where one powerful tool or strategy becomes a crutch, and when that crutch is removed or countered, the underlying weaknesses become glaringly obvious?
You know, it's like a tech company that has one viral app but no long-term product strategy. For a year, they look like geniuses. They're the talk of the town. But when user behavior changes or a competitor figures out their secret sauce, the company collapses because they never built a foundation. They never learned how to innovate beyond that one trick. The Tush Push is that viral app. The Eagles look like innovators, but this game suggested they might have forgotten how to build a complete, sustainable offense. A single costly interception in the red zone late in the game doesn't just happen. It's a symptom of a system under pressure that cracks.
So, the Eagles' game against the Giants truly peeled back the layers, revealing that even a celebrated innovation can become an illusion if it's not supported by a creative, consistent, and well-executed overall offensive scheme. But beyond the X's and O's, this game also brought to light some critical, often uncomfortable external factors.
That's where the story gets even more complicated.
Beyond the X's and O's, this game also brought into sharp relief the often overlooked influence of external factors, particularly injuries and playing surfaces. Most notably, Eagles defensive lineman Jalen Carter was inactive due to a heel injury, but the crucial detail reported by the NFL Network is that the turf at MetLife Stadium played a part in his decision not to play. This isn't just an injury report, it's a direct indictment of artificial turf fields.
Exactly, Maya. And it wasn't just Carter. First-round pick cornerback Quinion Mitchell was ruled out during the game with a hamstring injury, and another key lineman, Landon Dickerson, was also sidelined. These weren't isolated incidents. They contributed to the Eagles' defense handling the attrition poorly, according to SI.com. This implies that despite their reputation, the Eagles might be overly reliant on a few star players, and their system struggles to adapt when those key components are removed, especially when you factor in a controversial playing surface that one of your stars refuses to play on.
Given that a star player like Jalen Carter specifically cited the turf as a factor in his decision not to play, what does this incident reveal about the current state of player safety initiatives in the NFL? Is the league doing enough, or do these types of situations suggest a deeper systemic issue where competitive demands still outweigh player welfare?
It suggests a massive disconnect. The players have been complaining about artificial turf for years, linking it to higher rates of non-contact injuries, yet many stadiums stick with it. Why? Because it's cheaper to maintain than natural grass, especially in multi-purpose venues. When a player of Carter's caliber sits out a critical divisional game and the reason given is explicitly the playing surface, it forces a public conversation the league would rather not have. It's a player using his leverage to say, this environment is unsafe and I will not risk my career for it. It puts the lie to the idea that player safety is the absolute number one priority. If it were, every field would be natural grass, period.
Right. If we were to look at this from the perspective of a team owner or a league executive, what are the primary challenges they face in addressing these turf and injury concerns? Is it purely financial, or are there other logistical or historical factors that make these changes so difficult to implement across the entire league?
It's a mix. The financial argument is the big one. Installation and maintenance costs for pristine natural grass are significant. Then there are stadium contracts and scheduling. Many of these stadiums host concerts, monster truck rallies, you name it. Artificial turf is just more durable for that kind of multi-use wear and tear. But let's be honest, it really boils down to a cost-benefit analysis where the cost is player health, which is a price the league has historically been willing to pay or at least mitigate through PR rather than fundamentally fixing the problem. This Jalen Carter situation is a crack in that facade.
This game, therefore, served as a stark reminder that the high-stakes world of professional sports extends far beyond the scoreboard. It really forces us to confront this complex interplay between player health, the environment they play in, and team performance, highlighting an uncomfortable tension between well-being and the relentless drive to win.
It really does. You have rookies shattering narratives on one side, and on the other, you have a supposed powerhouse team potentially being undone by its own strategic rigidity and, of all things, the ground beneath their feet.
So when we look back at this game, it's clear the story isn't just about an upset. We saw how established narratives in sports are incredibly fragile. The Giants' victory, powered by rookies, proved that our ideas about who is dominant and who is weak can be demolished in a single evening.
And we saw how so-called innovation can actually be a strategic crutch. The Eagles' reliance on the Tush Push masked a fundamental lack of creativity, and when that one play wasn't enough, the whole offensive structure was exposed as an illusion.
And most critically, the whole affair put the clash between the pursuit of victory and player welfare on full display. The MetLife turf controversy wasn't just a footnote, it was a headline showing the difficult, often ugly, choices that are made when individual well-being goes up against the demands of the business of sports. The Giants-Eagles game was far more than a single contest. It was a potent microcosm of the unpredictable, multifaceted nature of professional sports. It compels us to look beyond the immediate outcome and question the underlying assumptions we hold about success, strategy, and the human cost of competition. In a world increasingly driven by data and predictable outcomes, this game reminds us that true insight often emerges not from conforming to expectations, but from the moments when the unexpected shatters them, forcing us to confront the raw, unfiltered truths that lie beneath the surface of the game.